It's really not looking good for Donald. He's deteriorating before our eyes. During that disaster meeting he had with Zelenskyy yesterday, not only was Donald Trump looking cognitively addled, not only was this entire thing a mess, but it looked like both of his hands now had that same rot. Both of his hands looked like they were discolored, and he was trying to hide both of them, but he couldn't hide both of his hands. Now, we know that his right hand had been seriously discolored. They've been putting a lot of makeup on it. It went from looking almost like this bluish, kind of purplish color to they just slap makeup over it right now. And then you now have the left one looking discolored as well. And a lot of people are speculating. And again, I'm just expressing to you my opinion speech as protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. But could it be that he was getting IV infusions of some sort in the right hand and that vein no longer is good? So they're now going into the left hand to try to find a vein after they were previously going into the arm, for example. And so lots of people are taking a look at this, and you look at what the account Derek Guy posted right here. You zoom in. He zoomed in right here, and this is from yesterday. There seems to be a small hole at the site of the discoloration. You see that small hole right there? It's actually pretty apparent. This on the other hand right now, and there's probably holes on the other hand that was discolored as well. And this would seem to suggest those who are having that opinion that are there IV infusions, are there IVs going in, it at least lends some additional data points for those who express that opinion, right? And everybody's entitled to their own opinions right here. Like Congresswoman Kalmager Dove, and her opinion that she expressed is the following, and she just put this out there. And again, opinion, speculation, everybody's entitled to that right under the First Amendment, so I'll make that clear. Here's what she said. She goes, the Alzheimer's drug Leqembi is administered through an infusion. For example, through the hand. It can cause swelling, bleeding, or fluid leakage in the brain, requiring regular MRIs. And we know that Donald Trump's excuse about getting an abdominal preventative MRI is BS. There's no such thing as preventative abdominal MRIs. To the extent you were going to get a preventative MRI, it would be full body, but people don't get preventative MRIs. It would be of the brain as well. And the fact that the Trump regime is covering up the MRIs, the way they're covering up the Epstein files, the way they're covering up the killing of the survivors of the boat strike after engaging in the other crimes against humanity, I mean, tells you a lot. I did a deep dive into this. And so here's the hand of a Leqembi patient right here. This is how it would be administered, Leqembi, this Alzheimer's drug. Here's another image of the individual getting the Leqembi administered. There's a photo of Donald Trump's hand right there. I want to share this with you as well, because I was doing some deep dives into Leqembi. Take a look right here, Alzheimer's treatments. There's Leqembi, Leqembi. Then there's Kisunla, Kisunla. And the way these Alzheimer treatments work is they're supposed to remove the amyloid plaques in the brain, which is identified as some of the triggers of Alzheimer's. We know that Donald Trump's father, Fred, suffered from Alzheimer's and eventually died. It came on rapidly and it progressed. And one of the things that they did with Fred is this has been reported before, Donald Trump's dad, is they tried to create environments that made him feel like he was working, but in fact, they would just create almost like a fake office setting for him. Let me just share this with you. This was from a recent Fox 5 report on the Alzheimer's treatment, Leqembi. Here's how somebody was getting the medication administered. And it stood out to me. Here, play this clip.
Davis's story of how she ended up in this Emory video, one of the first patients at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta to receive an infusion of the recently FDA-approved Alzheimer's drug Leqembi, begins last summer back home in Pensacola, Florida, with a pretty brutal diagnosis from a local neurologist Davis went to see after experiencing some memory problems.
The brain scan or whatever they did at West Florida Hospital, they gave that to the doctor, and he told me to get your affairs in order.
So that's Leqembi. I'll show you Kisunla right now, or Kisunla. Here, play this clip. Yeah, Kisunla. Sorry, here, play this clip right here.
living with Alzheimer's disease.
I start going open my refrigerator, and when I open the door, I say, what am I here for?
Forgetting things every few minutes.
It's hard, very hard.
That's day-to-day life, but it all may change now with Kisunla, this drug getting FDA approval. Dr. W. Jamie Plant is a neurologist here.
It's a medication that is delivered once a month, targets the amyloid plaque in patients that have Alzheimer's disease, and breaks it down and eliminates it.
Yeah, and here is let's just hear from some of the Trump family members. Here's what Donald Trump's nephew, Fred Trump, had to say about him, and Fred Trump recognizing that Trump's father, Fred Trump, had these issues. Here's what Fred Trump had to say recently. Here, play this clip.
I know what I saw in my grandfather. I know what I saw in Donald's older sister, my Aunt Marianne, who in the end, thank you for saying, I am not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. I know the warning signs from both of my grandfathers, what it is. Donald's cousin, John Walters, had dementia. It runs in the family. I'm not happy about it because guess what? I worry about it myself. You know, where's my glasses? Oh, on the top of my head now. I don't know. That may be Alzheimer's, but it runs in the family. He looks older, and I get it. I mean, I'm not saying anybody who is in that office looks different than when they come out. But the things he's spewing and the craziness, and he just can't stick to a message.
And let's take a listen to what Mary Trump had to say about Trump's cognitive issues. Here, play this clip.
Concerns over Donald's physical and mental decline are mounting, even among Republicans. Donald is 79 years old and a deeply unhealthy person. His father had a very serious case of Alzheimer's that went on for about 15 years. Every day, Donald seems increasingly feeble and unable to focus. Even the New York Times is starting to catch on to this. And as he weakens, so too does his hold over the Republican Party. On November 19th, journalist Amanda Marcotte speculated in an article that it was Donald's MRI that spurred GOP House members to reverse their stance on the vote to force the release of the Epstein files. She wrote, quote, "The White House continues to deny there are problems with Donald's health. But since they lie about everything, those words mean less than nothing. The public evidence that the 79-year-old Donald is not doing well is hard for even the most diehard MAGA types to ignore," unquote. Recently, according to the Daily Beast, Donald accidentally boosted a post from an account literally called "Impeach Donald for a Third Time." Included was Senator Mark Kelly's message reminding service members they can be constitutionally obligated to refuse legal orders. In other words, Donald promoted calls for him to be removed from office. It's another day proving the obvious. Donald cannot tell his allies from his enemies, his days from his nights, or his own propaganda from uncomfortable truths about his failures.
Now, look, I think this was on full display during this press conference that Donald Trump had with Zelenskyy. I mean, just listen to Donald Trump's speech pattern right here. Donald Trump, while he's doing his press conference in Mar-a-Lago with Zelenskyy, he starts whining about the 2020 election. He says, Russia, Russia, Russia. I mean, the speech pattern here is just completely and utterly deranged. Here, play this clip.
And a lot of very brave people, a lot of people that are dead right now, unfortunately, because I've said, and nobody's disputed it, that if the election weren't rigged and stolen, 2020, you wouldn't have had this war, would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years, never was even thought to happen. And I spoke with President Putin. I got along with him very well, despite the Russia, Russia, Russia hoax, which was a total hoax. He used to say, what is going on over there? But it was a total hoax, as he knew and as I knew. But I spoke to him and we'd talk about Ukraine. I've said it before. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything about it. He didn't do anything about it until I was gone. And then a lot of really bad statements were made by people, by a lot of people, I guess, but by a certain president that we had who was a disaster. Yes.
And then here, Donald Trump basically sent out the press and asked them if they want food, and then talked about, oh, if I give you food, am I going to be bribing you? I mean, what the hell is he talking about here? Here, play this clip.
Are you okay? Is everyone fine? Margot, if you would, I think you could sit outside and have some food. Would you like to have food, or do you consider that a bribe? And therefore you cannot write honestly, or therefore you have to write a bad story. Okay, because if you'd like, would you like something to eat at this time? Yes or no? You can speak.
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay. Yes, Margot, yes, sir. Take them outside, tell the chef, serve them a little lunch, okay?
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
That should guarantee good stories, but it won't. They'll only get worse. So go out of their way to make them worse. She gave us a hamburger. We have to make them good.
Alex, thanks. Press.
Okay.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
You lead the way. Go outside on the porch.
So How much time, money, and energy have you spent on health, wellness, and beauty products to look and feel younger and healthier? If you're like me, probably too much. Now, I'm so excited to share with you guys C15 from Fatty 15, the first emerging essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. Now, it's an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness, and you guessed it, healthy aging. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson, she discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy to continually improve the health and welfare of aging dolphins. Now, based on over 100 studies, we now know that C15 strengthens our cells and is a key to healthy aging nutrient, which helps to slow biological aging at the cellular level. Now, in fact, when our cells don't have enough C15, they become fragile and age faster. And when our cells age, our bodies age too. So Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, patent 100% pure C15 supplement. It's vegan-friendly, free of flavors, allergens, or preservatives. Fatty 15 has 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3s or fish oil. I love Fatty 15. I've personally seen the benefits. Definitely check this stuff out. Best of all, Fatty 15 comes in a gorgeous reusable glass bamboo jar, and refills are shipped right to your door. Now, Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help support your long-term health and wellness, now especially as you age. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Meidas and using code Meidas at checkout.
You know, you have, got to share this with you as well. Joanna Coles has done an incredible job on the Daily Beast documenting this. And Joanna's a friend of mine. She had Dr. John Gartner. You've seen Dr. John Gartner on the MeidasTouch network before. Here, Dr. John Gartner talks about the Montreal cognitive exam that Trump keeps saying he takes, the MOCA. Again, people don't take this cognitive exam unless you have serious issues. This is not like a fun exam that people just take. This is what Dr. Gartner said about the MOCA exams. Here, play this clip.
What happens with people who get dementia, when it starts to get to this point, the progress starts to catch up. It starts to get faster and faster. Till finally, at some point, they really fall off a cognitive cliff. You know, he kind of gave the game away again, as he often does. He said, you know, the MOCA, that screening, I've passed it now 3 times in front of a whole bunch of doctors. Well, you could maybe justify giving someone the MOCA once, just on their age, just as part of a physical. If you're giving it to him 3 times, that means you're not assessing dementia. That means you're monitoring dementia. Because if you keep feeling like, no, he's still got the symptoms, we've got to see how bad he's doing now. Oh, we got to check again, see how bad he's doing now. I think they're giving him cognitive tests and MRIs every 6 months to monitor the progress of his dementia and or strokes.
Oh, goodness.
And here's what Dr. Vin Gupta from the MeidasTouch network, who leads Meidas Health, had to say. Let me share this with you. Play this clip.
So number one, advanced imaging, you do not get out of nowhere just an MRI of your torso, your chest, and your abdomen, and present those results from the White House physician and act as though that's a normal screening tool. There are some that believe that a full body MRI in this day and age, if you can afford it, is appropriate to do. Reasonable people can disagree. if that's what actually he did, then present the results of the full body MRI. But there's no reason whatsoever, especially if they're saying he's the chief executive of the United States, just to limit it to the MRI of the chest and the abdomen. Nonsensical. Number two, at the Montreal cognitive assessment, this tool to assess whether or not you have early signs of dementia through understanding whether or not you can recall 4 words, very basic type of test. This is not something that you repeat frequently unless there's a neurologic reason to do so. If there was a neurologic reason to do so, fine. In certain cases, you repeat the test. But if you're otherwise claiming to be normal, you're not repeating the Montreal cognitive assessment as often as he's claiming to do it, as though that's some sort of flex here. It's not. And I think he's being misdirected, or he's just reading something and is being misinformed by himself. And then 3, lastly, just the fact that how he presents himself, whether it's the hand, is there something happening with that hand? Is there an IV there that they're trying to cover up? His pressurized, rambling, incoherent speech. When you take it all together, reasonable people are asking reasonable questions. These are not political questions. These are basic medical questions that if they had a doctor that was not trying to editorialize and actually just present the facts, these would be reasonable questions to get answers to. And yet we're not saying that.
And here is what Michael Wolff, Trump's former biographer, who's got a lot of great sourcing. Here he talks about Trump's disinhibited or uninhibited behavior, which is a sign and symptom. Again, I'm expressing an opinion. I don't know one way or the other whether Donald Trump has this or not, but disinhibition, uninhibited behavior is a sign. Here, play this clip right here.
We talked about the very peculiar statement he put out after Rob Reiner's death, where he blamed Rob Reiner's Trump derangement.
Well, that's not
syndrome.
It was not just peculiar. It was deranged.
It was deranged. Deranged.
Nobody would do that. That's not going to be good for certainly. It's not going to be good for Donald Trump. It didn't even make sense. It's just it's a problem with reflex control. So it's back to that Susie Wiles said in her interview with Vanity Fair that it was like dealing with an alcoholic. And she got a lot of, this was like, everybody went, whoa. Now, that's it's a common usage in the White House. And it's a usage that he almost seems proud of. And I think the rationale is he doesn't drink. Everybody knows he doesn't drink, and he really doesn't drink. So therefore, it's not. It's
not an alcoholic's personality.
It's a compliment to being compared to an alcoholic. I don't quite get the logic inside Trump's head on that. But Susie Wiles might have just as well said it's like dealing with a dementia patient. I mean, it is the same thing. And because he doesn't drink, it is probably closer to that. I mean, in which he has the aspects of his uninhibited aspects of his personality. And that might be it's like anger or self-pity or in his case, or other racism for some people, become increasingly more uninhibited. And that seems to be what's going on. He opens his mouth and you go, this is a problem.
Yeah, and Dr. Gardner also talks about how people within the Trump White House, talk about the 25th Amendment. Here, play this clip.
Michael Wolff, who's been on your show or with your joint show, has talked about how people in the White House are talking about how aghast they are, how repulsed they are. that they talk about the 25th Amendment. There used to be in his last administration that we found out there was like a text chain where people would just would text to each other 25. That was code for he's at it again.
Right.
So I think
25 for the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, exactly. So it was code for he's off the leash again. So the sad thing is the people who are closest to him know better than anybody how disturbed he is.
And again, the 25th Amendment, the 25th being removal based on Donald Trump's lack of cognitive abilities. Again, just think about this behavior of Donald Trump. I mean, with respect to the Epstein files, Trump posting, now 1 million more pages on Epstein are found. DOJ is being forced to spend all of its time on this Democratic expired hoax. When do they say no more and work on election fraud? The Dems are the ones who worked with Epstein, not the Republicans. Release all of their names, embarrass them, and get back to help our country. The radical left doesn't want people to talk about Trump and Republican success. Only a long ago dead Jeffrey Epstein, just another witch hunt! Exclamation point. I mean, think about that deranged behavior right there. Or how about this? Donald Trump attacking former President Obama, and then Donald Trump saying Democrats wanted to replace you with uneducated Mexicans who would be easier to enslave. I mean, Trump's reposting this. He wants to replace you with uneducated Mexicans who would make you easier, who are easier to enslave. I mean, what the hell is even going on there? And this is having serious ramifications as well. I mean, Donald Trump just announcing that he bombed Nigeria recently and said he was going after ISIS because they were going after Christians, which is not, again, there's no specific targeting of Christians in Nigeria. And it's unclear where the hell Donald Trump even bombed. I mean, he bombed a village called Joba in Nigeria, which is a small village with no ISIS connections at all. And people are like, why would he bomb this village? Like bombing random areas. I mean, I think one of the issues is that, he's told by his cabinet members that China has a lithium deal with the current Nigerian government. The current Nigerian government is run by a Muslim leader. There's an opposition leader who is Christian, who I think is feeding this information to Trump lobbyists that's getting to Trump. So Trump is, this is a way to get back at China, and to try to intimidate them by bombing Nigeria. I mean, I think that's what this is really about, oil and lithium. And then China responds by saying, and I think this is directly related, that China is conducting its most aggressive war games ever around Taiwan. And I think they're doing this to send a message back to Donald Trump in response to what took place in Nigeria. Well, the reason why I'm even mentioning this right now is because you have this deranged, cognitively addled guy, in my opinion, who is creating a situation where all of the preconditions for a world war are like right there before our eyes, like right now. And we need to continue to cover this cognitive meltdown because it's serious. It's serious stuff. And all this stuff is, you need someone kind of competent and who gets it right now. It's like, what the hell's happening? I hope that was elucidating and illuminating too. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million, and thanks for watching. Hey, Midas Mighty, it's Ben, Brett, and Jordy, and we just want to thank you for being the backbone of this movement.
This year tested us more than ever, but together we proved that pro-democracy voices don't just compete, we win.
We took on the entire MAGA machine, won a Webby for Podcast of the Year,
the MeidasTouch podcast,
and you were with us every step of the way.
And trust us, what we're working on next is bigger, bolder, and built for 2026.
Let's keep this momentum going, spread the word, we are just getting started.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty!